Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well, hope you're all doing fantastic, and hope you're all having an absolutely incredible day. What was it? Don't forget to follow me on Facebook. There's a link in the description below. Welcome back to the weirdest and probably always will be craziest market that we've ever been in our entire lives. We have been, and I say this in like a very first world manner, we've been going through a lot recently as far as like the amount of volatility in the market, the rumors and expectations of where prices are about to go. For those of you who've somehow missed it, we have gotten constant reports from a number of analysts that in February, Bitcoin is supposed to go above 130 to 140,000 US dollars. XRP is supposed to be over $14, and Ethereum is question mark, simply because, you know, it's just doesn't seem like a good moment for Ethereum in a lot of different ways. However, the good news continues to roll in. And if you've seen any of the last videos as well, it's not that I'm annoyed so much as frustratedly impatient at this point. We have never gotten this much good news back to back to back to back to back to back to back. And a lot of what we've witnessed, especially over the last month or so, has been a really weird seesaw back and forth within the market, where we now actually have a group of people who are, you know, incredibly optimistic, wonderful, but we're also getting a lot of people who are just kind of, the word's not negative, but they're just not as happy as one would assume with all the news that we've been getting. This is by far one of the most popular news stories we have ever received in many, 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 many years. The Czech National Bank, the CNB, is contemplating a groundbreaking shift in its investment strategy by considering allocating up to 5% of their reserves as the National Bank of the Czech Republic into Bitcoin. This potential move, led by Governor Ales Michel, M-I-C-H-L, I assume is Michael, could position the Czech National Bank as the first major central bank in the West to hold digital assets. This was by far one of the most popular things that it's not even remotely a joke. This was everywhere. And I mean, I would dare say rightfully so, as it is something incredibly monumental should this actually take place. And I don't think there really even is a B to that actual equation. We have had rumors and news and confirmation and more rumors of a number of countries over the last, it is almost a decade, if you can believe it, almost a decade of countries who are actively buying Bitcoin. As it stands right now, at the time of me making this video, the current news is that within the United States, there's a task force of some sort that's been created who are going to put their hands together, form Captain Planet, and that's going to be the basis of them announcing or starting or figuring out the legality of creating a crypto national reserve. We're still getting news and rumors from Dennis Porter and many other people that apparently other states within the United States are going to pass legislation. For those of you who missed the last two videos, there are, I think, 4 states. I want to say 4 states thus far who have passed it at the committee level. Then it has to go to the senatorial level or something like that. And then the final thing, I believe, is a signature. But thus far, at the time of me making this video, no one has gotten to the actual finish line for this. So we had news before that apparently the Czech Republic, this is maybe 5 weeks ago, announced that people holding Bitcoin, if they hold it for more than 3 years within the country and then decide to sell it, it is then tax-free. They have been relatively, as far as I can tell, crypto positive over the course of many years. I don't recall any like negative Czech Republic Bitcoin news that was like, oh my gosh, that's deplorable, like, you know, that kind of thing. So where it stands right now, especially as this is coming from one of the higher ups of the actual central bank of the country, it's major news. It's just a matter of, and I say this in the most realistic way possible, is if it's actually going to happen. You might recall, you might remember the news that we heard before about Microsoft and Amazon, and there was another computer company where all these people were apparently talking to the shareholders, and the shareholders were like, nah, we're okay, and it didn't end up going through. I think a lot of times, and I'll say it to you this way, whether this goes through or not, we are well positioned to continue to do well as a market. There's no denying that. But a lot of times this does become the narrative. And when we hear some kind of negative news, Microsoft is not buying Bitcoin, Amazon's not buying Bitcoin, that kind of thing, the guy from Dell, we tend to see price drops or dips because people put all their hopes on the shoulders of rich people and banks, like all the time. It's just completely really weird. So yes, incredibly popular news. A lot of people are very excited about this. We'll see if this actually ends up happening. If I can be completely honest, I am far more excited about Florida buying Bitcoin. That is to say, simply because if this doesn't go through, we know that there are a number of other states who were like rip-roaring and ready to go. That's what I was saying before about a month ago. Everyone was focusing so heavily on Trump on his first day in office, signing a piece of paper, and that day, Bitcoin going to $1 million, and nearly the entirety of the market missed the news that 22 different states were preparing bills to collect and buy Bitcoin on their own. It went nearly completely unnoticed. If they're all buying billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin all the time, this will cause the supply crunch to become crunchier and also for prices to go up. But similar to the narrative for ETFs within the United States, people focus on a very specific thing. If that doesn't go exactly as the masses believe it should, it creates a negative sentiment. So, yes, incredibly popular news. The Czech Republic might start some type of a Bitcoin reserve. We'll see exactly what ends up happening, who's going to vote on it, who's going to discuss it, how long that it's going to take. If it does end up happening, you bet your bottom dollar, obviously, it's going to be in the news quite heavily. If it does not take place, we will be just fine. You saw how like we were fine before they announced this? We're going to be just fine after, because we have Michael Saylor and a whole bunch of other people who continue to buy up as much Bitcoin as humanly possible before 8 billion other people can figure it out. So prices will go up. That's just complete logic at this point. That's the Czech Central Bank. And I'll give you one last word of logical wisdom. They probably already own Bitcoin, but they're probably doing this in like a public kind of manner. I don't think that there's any major bank that doesn't already own some type of Bitcoin, whether it be spot or ETF based. Has everyone forgotten? And this is even crazier. I was reading through these articles. I was reading through all of these articles, and multiple of them were really excited because they were like, this will then be the first central bank to own any Bitcoin. Once again, forgetting the news that we got last summer from the Bank of International Settlements. We know that a dozen central banks on the planet own individually hundreds of millions or billions of dollars already worth of Bitcoin. But no one focuses on that because this is the brand new shiny thing. That's the Czech Republic news. Yeah. Let's move on. Also in news, the United States Securities and Exchange Commission has taken its first steps towards crypto regulatory clarity following former chair Gary Gensler's departure. He left on the 20th of January for those who did not know. According to a 21st of January announcement, the agency is creating a crypto task force dedicated to developing a framework for digital assets. This is great, but also a shame. It should not have taken 15 years. I will say that again. The fact that it took 15 years to get us to this point, none of us should be celebrating this. This is what regulators are supposed to do. The moment crypto became a big thing, 2014, 15, 16, there should have been a kumbaya with the SEC and CFTC to put proper regulations in place. Now, it appears that they're trying to literally form a task force to get this done. And it's like, it's cool that it's happening because hopefully people get proper rules and regulations as to what they should and should not do. Hopefully consumers get more proper information as to what they should and should not do and what they need to do or should to get into this space. And it's, yeah, the task force will be led by Hester Pierce. I often try not to get my hopes up. Hester Pierce being the only person that we heard in the news who within the SEC, once again, that we heard, had any kind of general sense of anything. Gary Gensler is clearly a monster. That's okay. But Hester Pierce multiple times went on to the news and was like, no, I'm totally fine with a Bitcoin ETF. We need more regulations. The only person who was holding them back was Gigi, Gary Gensler. And now Hester Pierce is now like at the forefront of a lot of this, and I can only hope that things get better. The task force was announced by Commissioner Mark Uyeda, who is serving as acting SEC chairman until the U.S. Senate confirms the nomination of former SEC Commissioner Paul Atkins to serve the remainder of former Gary Gensler's chair term. They said the task force focus will be to help the commission draw clear regulatory lines, provide realistic paths to registration, craft sensible disclosure frameworks, and deploy enforcement resources judiciously. 15 years to hear from a regulatory body that they are going to be regulating. Once again, this should not be something that we, go, yay, and, get really happy for. This should have happened years ago. It's nice to hear that it's happening now. I can only hope that we really, this sounds stupid, but I hope that we see proper cryptocurrency regulations. I hope we have more things in place to protect consumers. I hope we have more rules in place so that not everyone can create a coin. It ends up being a scam. It ends up being rug pulled. Like, I want proper things in place so that when we see more people get into the market, that they're protected. That's what regulations are for. The other part is that if you've missed, I want to say the last 4 videos, it's been quite intense. We've had a lot of refilings from about 12 different companies for cryptocurrency ETFs. There was one company who just filed for 10 different cryptocurrency ETFs, including a number of meme coins. We have the expectations of, I think there's 3 or 4 filings for XRP ETFs. There's 2 or 3 for Solana. And then there's that mixed bag one. There was another one. It was Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, Solana, and Sixth Coin. There's a lot going on right now. The rumors are that this SEC is far more crypto friendly and will be more ideally suited to kind of pass judgment on everything that's happening. That's the popular SEC news. We haven't said those words, popular and SEC news. That's never actually been a thing. Congratulations, Hester Pierce, on not being a monster, being the head of this agency, or at least this task force, and hopefully you deliver. That's the SEC news. Okie dokie. Moving on. Also, in very popular news as well, Litecoin is constantly being thrown into the spotlight. It's a bit dramatic these days. If you missed it, there are rumors that Litecoin is going to be the next cryptocurrency that gets an ETF. Litecoin has been in the news, I want to say, every other day recently. It's been a bit odd because we went years without having any Litecoin news. It's now getting tons of attention, and this is also there as well. Australian asset management firm Monochrome has filed for a spot Litecoin exchange-traded fund with the Securities and Derivatives Exchange CBOE Australia on Tuesday. The firm already manages a $50 million Bitcoin ETF and a $2 million Ether ETF, both approved in 2024, months after similar approvals were given in the United States. Neither US nor Canada regulators have given the green light to a spot Litecoin ETF thus far, unless it happened like 8 minutes ago, then I'm sorry. Yes, Litecoin, really big in the news. We had nothing about Litecoin for years, and then we had a lot of Litecoin whale news, which was completely overshadowed by Bitcoin whale news, Ethereum whale news, Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum ETFs, and all the other meme coins that have also been out there. So, as I mentioned before, in 2 other videos, I think something major is happening with Litecoin. I do not know what, but I would not be surprised if in the next year or 2, this becomes a major focal point for investors as well. It seems to not random for it not to be actually something, if that makes any sense. I think this is going to be another similar Bitcoin moment where kind of no one paid attention. Whales bought up all of it. And then before you know it, we get news 80-90% of Litecoin is being held by whales. And it's like, yeah, because no one paid attention to the thing. So yes, another company is filing for a spot Litecoin ETF, this time in Australia. We'll see if we end up getting within the United States. That would completely change the course of history for this coin. And I don't think that we are that far off. That's the Litecoin news. Moving along. Also in the news, where are the words? Jeez Louise. Oh boy. Oxbridge Re Holdings Limited. That's their name. Don't wear it out. A publicly listed company specializing in reinsurance and tokenized real-world assets has announced the inclusion of Bitcoin and Ethereum in their treasury reserve strategy. Yes, this is company number 138 million or something like that. Oh, my shoulder. Oh, that's so bad. I keep sleeping really weird and I don't know why. I sleep properly, but then when I wake up, it just, Oh gosh, my neck. Like every time I move my neck. Okay, it's not as bad as it was earlier, but still. Yes, another company who is announcing that they're getting into Bitcoin and buying it. This time, however, they're also buying Ethereum for their treasury reserve as well. We heard from the country of Bhutan about a month ago that they are now officially buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Binance Coin as part of their nation's reserves, which is like crazy to even think that it's like happening that way. But yeah, another company has announced their buyings. The decision highlights the company's focus on diversifying its financial holdings by incorporating blockchain-based opportunities such as BTC and ETH, according to a company release. CEO Jay Madhu emphasized Bitcoin's reliability as a store of value, pointing to its increasing adoption and price stability. I need to be honest with all of you. I don't know how long we can stay this low in price. No, really. How often have we been getting news like this? This isn't the first time. Usually multiple videos, we get like 2 or 3 different news stories like this. We just heard a couple of minutes ago that the central bank of the Czech Republic is thinking about buying billions of dollars, or excuse me, euros worth of Bitcoin. I don't understand how we currently aren't above $500,000 per Bitcoin. I mean that in complete honesty. Every single time, what was the number? Oh gosh, what was it? Oh gosh, fudge. I want to say it's 5 billion. I don't remember the number anymore. We had something a couple of days ago, maybe even a week. There was an analyst who was talking about the amount of money flowing into the market. And they had a chart. And I believe, I'm going to get it wrong. I think they said I want to say $2, $3, $4, $5 billion. I think this influences Bitcoin's price by around 2 to 3% upward. So they were talking about, they were explicitly just talking about the actual accumulation levels from the ETFs. And they were saying if we continue, that's what it was. They were saying if we continue seeing this involvement from the ETFs the same as last year, because I believe that the inflows for the ETFs, I think were around 33 billion. I think that was the number. Was that the number? I don't remember. And they said they're expecting that number to double this year. And they said if that doubles, we would then see 2 to 3% rise per every couple $1 billion. I think it might have even just been $1 billion. I don't remember. Anyway, there's always so much information going on. But every single time that we get news like this, I'm always a bit perplexed. If you missed it as well, 6 days ago, ? We had, it was news I missed and then news that just had happened, where we heard that MicroStrategy one day purchased $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, like additionally, I don't mean from a month ago, like this is recent, purchased $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. And then a day or two later, they purchased another 1.1 billion. And I was like, when that happened, the price dropped, which I assume is manipulation, not on the part of MicroStrategy per se, but someone behind the scenes is trying to make people like unfocused and get them out of this market. And it's just really weird to continuously hear, not even just MicroStrategy. We know of realistically that we've been hearing, it's about 30, 40, 50 companies off the top of my head who are actively always buying Bitcoin. Like always, in a non-stop pattern. You can even include the crypto exchanges. They're also buying Bitcoin for themselves as well. We know that Tether is constantly buying hundreds of and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin all the time. What was the other news that we just got as well? Oh gosh, there was something else. I had it at the front of my mind and then it just completely disappeared. And this is before the states. This is before the countries. This is before the masses. It's all these different things going on. And I really... I myself, and I saw other people, were getting quite frustrated on Twitter with prices just because it feels like another one of those we should be a lot higher, but I don't know if reality is going to actually match what's going on. Back in 2020 and 2021, we should have easily gone over $100,000, and I understand why we didn't because of all the stuff that was happening everywhere. But even right now, like even so, remember like we hit $70,000 in 2021. And then for the better part of the last couple of months or time frame, we were floating around a $100,000, $101,000, $103,000 Bitcoin. And I was like, all that movement, the ETFs buying 1.3 million Bitcoin, does not result in Bitcoin's price going up less than 50% from its previous all-time high. It just doesn't make any sense. We didn't have countries and states openly announcing we're buying billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. We're mining all this Bitcoin. We didn't have proper crypto policies, and we didn't have 9 companies who had accumulated 1.3 million Bitcoin. That does not translate into a $30,000 increase. It just doesn't make any sense. We should be so much higher in price. Like, I mean, even just realistically, just based off of how little Bitcoin there is on it. I'm trying not to rant, but I do feel like I'm going crazy. I said that in another video before. We're getting constant good news. Even if it was just crypto regulations are coming and MicroStrategy has purchased $12 billion worth of Bitcoin. That's a lot. The other smaller companies, the ETFs, you and your, like really it all adds up. Like a lot of people, like you don't understand the actual power of like accumulation when it comes to 30 million people. If everyone's buying 0.01 after 100 people, that's an entire coin. Like the supply continues to shrink, and we keep hearing about all these new companies. And I don't know when the market's going to like react. Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, so I mean, remember like when Samson Mao and all these other people were talking about by the end of this year having $1 million Bitcoin. It sounds crazy, but then when you think about everything that's going, we didn't have a 10% of the energy that we have now back in 2020 or 2021. Think of all that's happened. Like all the things that have been built, all the levels of accumulation. And then I sit here and I'm like, why are we not over? And I mean, really in February, why are we not over 300K? Just based off of the news that we've received, not even what's happening behind the scenes. You know, heaven forbid, should we actually know how much Bitcoin the other countries are actually buying, how much is being purchased over the counter. It's very weird. I find it very, very odd. Everything that we've been through does not equate to only $30,000 above the previous all-time high. Huh. Anyway, they said our board of directors believe that Bitcoin in particular has demonstrated its reliability as a store of value amid rising global adoption supported by significant price appreciation and growing investor confidence. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This company also did not say how much that they actually buy, which is something that we're also seeing weirdly enough. Again, I think one other company has announced, this was a month ago, that they were buying Bitcoin, but they did not say how much they were buying. It's quite weird. I mean, maybe I'm just used to everyone being a lot more out there with their numbers, but yeah. Right. I think that's going to do it for this video. I know, I see comments and I see people on Twitter and everyone's like, just be patient. But I think it's more than like impatience. It's like unrealistic. It just doesn't, I don't know. I can't even give you like something to equate it to. It just doesn't feel real. It's like eating like 5 plates of food and you're like, oh, I'm still starving. It's like, no, we know what's happening and it should have some like mega effect on price. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. All these analysts are still talking $200,000, $300,000, $50,000, $500,000 Bitcoin. but it's still like all of it seems so low. Like we should be so much higher. Like even there was someone who was writing on Twitter the other day. He was saying he's frustrated because so many other altcoins haven't even hit their previous all-time high. And it's such a weird feeling. Like even having this like, is Ethereum going up? Will Ethereum go down? Like kind of thing. And it's like, wasn't the previous all-time high for Ether 4,800? How many more things have been built on top of Ether since then? Accumulation levels. They have ETFs, and it's still not at $6,000? Doesn't that seem incredibly odd? Okay. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.